Every fortnight on the Thursday, we bring to you a special guest and interact with the guest, you know, all the different things, all the contemporary issues that the women entrepreneurs are facing today. And today, with me is a very special guest who is joining us in a short while. But before the guest joins, I would want to bring in some music as we set the tone for this particular live show. So let me bring some great music so that we all can have some good fun. So I want to know from you, while the music is being played, which city are you logging in from? Let's have some good fun. Well, my name is Nirupama, and I'm going to be your host for the show today. I'm a daughter of an astrologer, wife of a walking, talking encyclopedia, a fitness freak who turned into a cop with Government of India for over half a decade, then turned into a TEDx speaker, and now I'm your counselor for women professionals. So today I have a very, very special guest with me, Preeta, and let me ask Preeta to join us. Hey Preeta, how are you doing?
Hi, Nirupama. I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for having me here.
Awesome. But Preeta, before we actually get you talking, we'll get you moving. We would want you to dance, we would want you to have fun with our audience and bring in some energy to the floor. Let's do that. Are we ready?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Awesome. Let's move a little bit while the audience is joining.
Dancing in front of a camera is not my best.
I hope you all are also dancing out there. Well, this was to get you moving, to get you out of your seat, to have some good fun. And as we move ahead, before I ask Preeta to tell us a little bit about her, I would want to really announce a contest. We would want all of you to stay up till the end. So me and Preeta are very smart. We thought, why not devise a contest out here? And we're going to be asking you lots and lots of questions during this live show. And all of you who participate, who give us your love, your true feedback, your participation, your time, which is the most important commodity today, we're going to be giving you a special gift at the end of this show. So stay tuned, and there's going to be lots of fun, lots of prizes, and lots of learning from Preeta. So welcome, Preeta. I am so thrilled to have you. And before we actually move ahead, I would really want to know a little bit about you because the audience wants to know that what has Preeta got in stock for us and what made you the person that you are today. If you can tell a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So let me start by first thanking you, Nirupama, for creating this opportunity um, and giving me this platform. Today I call myself a wholeness coach and a sound energy healer. But if you'd asked me about, say, 7, 8 years back, I wouldn't have known these words
Yeah.
because I came from a world where I was suffering, like many of us suffer,
Mm-hmm.
from our own emotions,
Yes.
not understanding how to deal with them.
Right.
And because we go through so many emotions in our daily lives, and we don't even know that we are suffering the consequences of not feeling those emotions,
Absolutely.
thinking that, oh, I'm sad, but not really knowing how to process that sadness.
Mm-hmm.
So for the large part of my life, my young life and my even my adult life, I lived from a space of what I call today victimhood. I felt like
Mm-hmm.
a victim of my situation, of my life.
Right.
No, it's like, nobody loves me enough, nobody cares for me, I'm not important enough. All of these thoughts were there.
Right.
And I would think I'm a very, I'm really dealing with it very well because I'm not going under. I'm afloat.
Yes.
uh, Till life brought me to a stage where I had to take a hard decision.
Mm-hmm.
And it was probably one of the darkest phases of my life, where I felt completely unsupported, and as if I was trying to go through a dark tunnel, and there was no light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
That point actually brought in front of me many new revelations. And
Right.
one of the revelations was that when I am feeling like a victim, I'm actually believing that I deserve to be a victim.
Yeah, that gives me juice.
Yeah, it was like a badge of honor for me also, that,
Right.
oh, this poor me, I have so many problems in my life, and
Yeah.
nobody understands me, and yet I'm this wonderful person who is showing up every time.
Yeah.
And but that journey, that revelation, that I have reached this point in my life when my mind is not strong enough to support me any longer.
Right.
Because all this while, as a young person, and most of us have been told that your mind is what makes you.
Yes.
And I reached a point where I felt that my mind was failing me, like my mind didn't have any answers for me.
Yeah.
And then where do I go? And that seeking actually took me through a whole long journey, which I'm still on, I would say. But
Yes.
it opened up a new way of looking at life, and realizing that when I'm feeling like a victim,
Mm-hmm.
I have chosen to be one. So
Yes.
can I choose not to be a victim and choose to be a victor?
Yes.
So that is what brought me to a point where I felt that we need to understand how our emotions impact us, and how
Yes.
they can actually empower us. Understanding how emotions work and function can actually empower us, so that when we are feeling an emotion, we don't go under it, but we rise above it and use the emotion to our own advantage of growing. Now, there is a disadvantage in this choice. When I choose to grow,
Right.
like, that growing can never be painless.
Of
So
course.
I'm actually choosing a different kind of pain,
Yeah.
from suffering the pain of emotional trauma
Uh-huh.
to actually choosing the pain of growing and transforming, and reaching a spot where
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
reaching a spot from where, uh, I may be alone, or I may be alone in my choices, but
Right.
I'm still very supported and very loved, because I have now chosen to love myself and support myself. I hope that
Awesome.
makes some sense.
A lot of sense, a lot of sense. And I'm sure the people who are listening to us at this moment, at certain stage of their life, they are also undergoing all these emotions. And a lot of times, Preeta, what we do is we put these emotions under the carpet. Oh, I don't want to see it, or I need to be very strong, and if I show these emotions, what will people say? But these emotions are there. They are like those family members that we deal with each and every day. So these are the family members that are within us, but a lot of times we don't want to deal with them. So beautifully you mentioned in your story that uh, I would want to put it in this manner, that pain is inevitable but suffering is optional. you know but a lot of times what happens with us is that we enjoy that victim story so much, because if I'm a victim, my husband, my parents, my children, they are giving me attention, and I completely enjoy that part, that I am getting a lot of attention. And what if I drop that victim story and I choose to embrace these emotions, this pain, and then what's going to happen to me? Where will be that juice? So a lot of times you talk about surrender, you talk about let go. I want to know about that one word that you used in your introduction, which was choice. How to take that choice, because while we are undergoing that entire turbulent emotional stage, we don't have that word choice in our dictionary at that point of time. So we would really want to know from you how to let go, how to surrender, how to really take that choice of not suffering and getting empowered from those emotions in spite of the pain.
Yeah, so that I mean, the question is very very deep and profound and intense. But let me see how I can put it across. So we believe in a lot in willpower,
Yeah.
but willpower again comes from the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And in my personal journey, what I have learned is that yes, we can use the mind and we can use the willpower, but there comes a point when, like I said, I reached a point where my mind didn't have any answers.
Yes.
So at that point, my willpower was not there. I mean, there was no will,
Right.
because the will was not to forge ahead, but the will was to go under, because
Yes.
it had weakened. So what happens when your mind or your willpower is not working?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I mean, the analogy I would like to draw is that when you're doing any kind of, say, take an example of maybe bungee jumping or any of these high adventure sports,
Sure.
or even something as simple as driving a car or swimming.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, when you're learning to do it, you are super alert, but your body is very tense. Like if you've
Yes.
learned something, you will know that the coach will tell you, relax, breathe, let go. you
Yes.
know and we are scared to let go in the swimming pool because we feel we are going to drown.
Get drowned. Yes.
But once we learn, we realize that the more relaxed the body is, the more we are allowing the things to happen, the body actually starts to float.
Yes.
And same thing in driving. When we are initially learning, we are holding the steering wheel really tight, and all our
Right.
muscles are really taut because we feel, oh, I have to manage so many things and there's so many controls. But eventually, you realize that you have to take in a deep breath, you have to relax
Mm-hmm.
your muscles, and then the driving becomes smoother, not as jerky.
Yes.
So, similarly, in life, when we are feeling very bogged down by emotions and we are trying to struggle our way out of it, I realize that whenever we are putting effort, we are actually tightening the noose even more.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to learn to relax at that point and not be scared of drowning into our emotions.
Yeah.
So that's what I learned. And one of the questions that you asked was, when we enjoy our suffering.
Yeah.
Yes, we do enjoy our suffering, because when we are suffering, if we are lucky, we have people who care for us. One thing is, what if I'm not lucky and I don't have anyone who's listening to my story and caring for me? I
Yeah.
suffer. Okay. Second thing, when I have someone who's looking after me because I am suffering, is that person really doing me good,
Mm-hmm.
or keeping me like a prisoner in a golden cage?
Beautiful analogy. Yeah.
Because the cage can keep getting bigger and better and more comfortable, but it is still a
Mm-hmm.
cage.
It is.
So when you choose to not be in the cage, it's obviously a decision of bravery. It's a decision of courage. Because then
Right.
you're telling yourself and telling the universe that, you know what, I want to fly free.
Right.
And when you fly free, you have to take total ownership and accountability for all your decisions, whether they are right or they are wrong.
Good, bad, ugly, everything.
Everything. Because when you're a prisoner, then it's very easy to put the blame on the other, saying that you said this, you did this,
Mm-hmm.
or you didn't do this, and so I am sad, angry, whatever, right?
Yes.
But when you decide to fly free and choose not to remain as the prisoner,
Yes.
when you choose not to remain the prisoner, then you are actually taking the controls in your hand and you're saying that now on, I am the driver of my own life vehicle. So
Yes.
whether I hit a road bump or I fall into a pothole, it's all my choice. So it's not an easy place to be. But like I said, you have to be brave and courageous and respect yourself that much so that we can take those kind of decisions.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
uh, yeah. So have I answered all your questions, or is there something which is still?
Yes, yes. In fact, I have a follow-up question. You mentioned, if we hold it tight, we are actually tightening the noose. But sometimes it so happens that we are not feeling emotionally that well. But since we are in a very competitive space, the women who are listening to you at this moment, they have their offices, they have their businesses, they have their careers to look after. And sometimes I am not feeling emotionally well. I'm feeling that I am not in a position to deliver as much as I want to, but there are stakeholders, there are deadlines, there are people around us, and that's where I need to wear a brave face, because I have committed, and that's where I use my willpower. So when such a situation comes, when we are at crossroads that I need to perform, but I am not in a position to perform, how does one deal with such a situation? Because this is what happens practically for a lot of us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, first thing is, of course, you have to show up. If you've made a commitment and that's one of your code of honors, that I will show up, whatever will be, you will show up.
Yes.
But first of all, we have to prioritize self care.
Mm-hmm.
And not when I am unwell, not when I'm emotionally unstable,
Right.
not when I'm in the pits, but self care as a sacred practice for oneself.
Sure.
The example that we always use is that on an aircraft, when you're given the gas mask, you're said, first use your own gas mask before giving it to your child or anyone else.
Yes.
We have to use it in daily life. We have to make
Right.
sure that we are whole when we are living. So, am I looking after my physical, mental, spiritual, all aspects of my life? Am I in charge of it?
Right.
Uh, of course, what you're bringing up is that when we haven't really prioritized self care. So I've reached a point where today I am feeling really bogged down and I can't show up, or I don't want to
Right.
show up, but I have to
Right.
force my way through. Uh, so that's like a war situation. You are in a war situation now. As a soldier in the war, you will have to show up, right?
Right.
But it cannot become your lifestyle. It cannot
Mm-hmm.
be that every time you're doing that. That means
Understood.
you're living life like a firefighter. You're
Yeah.
constantly dousing fires. So even
Yes.
in business, even in a corporate life, you will know that if you're constantly fighting fires in your workplace, that means something is predominantly wrong in the principle behind it. So you have to take a pause, you have to step back and say, what am I doing wrong? Why am I
Mm-hmm.
constantly firefighting?
Right.
What systems or processes have I not set in the business term? So
Right.
that's the time that I need to take back some power and say, okay, can I self care? What do I need? What do I need to be able to show up fully in all
Right.
my situations, right?
Sure.
So willpower is important there to push through, but it cannot become your only way to live, because that
I
is
love
high
the.
stress. That's
Yes.
high stress, and it is self sabotaging.
Right. So it can happen once in a blue moon, but don't make it a habit. Make a habit of taking care of yourself, prioritizing your self care, before such a situation comes, because then you'll know how to deal with it better.
So
Awesome.
another analogy I use very frequently is the analogy of the armed forces.
Okay.
What are the armed forces for? They are for a war situation, some kind of a
Yes.
situation which they have to handle, right?
Yes.
But what are they doing when that situation hasn't yet occurred? They are
Mm-hmm.
doing daily drill.
Right.
I remember in school we used to have a drill. We never
Yes.
liked it.
Yeah.
But what is your daily drill for your emotional wellness or emotional wholeness? What is your daily
Mm-hmm.
drill? How do you make sure that after you've spent a whole day interacting with all kinds of people, handling all kinds of situations, you clean up your energy? Because I may have gotten angry at some point but not expressed it fully. I may
Yep.
have felt hurt by something that happened during the day, but I haven't processed it fully. I
Yes.
may have felt resentful or jealous at some point, but I haven't really acknowledged it to myself. Where do
Right.
you think these emotions, which have not been felt fully, go? Because it's energy. Emotion is primarily energy in motion. So,
Yes.
where does this energy, which wants to move and hasn't been allowed to move, Where is it, and what are we doing when I call it a day? Like when I go to sleep, am I cleaning it up?
Right.
Right? So that is what is self care. That every night before I call it a day, can I clean my emotional energy along with my physical and all the other aspects, of course, that you're doing?
Beautiful, beautiful. So, Preeta, you've spoken about processing your emotions, and like the way you just gave an example that I had a fight with my boss. I wanted to really shout at that moment, but I couldn't shout because that's a place of authority. Or I had, an ugly day with somebody in the family, and that's where I wanted to say something, but I wasn't able to say that, and that emotion just kept within me. You're talking about cleansing your emotion or clearing that energy, processing your emotions. Could you talk about one or two tangible ways by which the audience, on a day-to-day basis, use some tools, certain things to process their energy, to cleanse that energy at the end of the day, like the way you mentioned? One or two things from.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
first thing I would like to say is, first we have to understand that no emotion is bad.
Okay.
No emotion is negative in the bad way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a low energy, no low energy emotion or a high energy emotion. So
Okay.
emotions like anger, fear, resentfulness, sense of abandonment, these are all low in energy. So they pull our energy down. They
Yeah.
make us feel contracted. And also, when I say expressing or releasing the emotion, I don't mean that you have to go and shout at your boss or at your colleague or at anyone actually, because
Yes.
that is not going to help either you or help the relationship or the situation that you are in. The
Right.
only way you can help yourself is, first of all, recognizing that okay, there is a surge of anger in me or a surge of resentfulness in me, acknowledging
Mm-hmm.
that it is arising in my body, arising in my energy,
Right.
and then realizing how can I respond to this without being so can I respond to these what we call negative emotions in a healthy manner.
Yeah.
So, what is healthy manner? Healthy manner is not destructive, not destroying anyone or attacking anyone. Healthy manner is actually releasing it from my energy, from my body, from my muscular system. And how can I do that? Very simple ways. There are simple ways which we have forgotten.
Guys, get your
First is when
notepads.
I'm feeling sorry.
I was just asking the audience to get their notepads so that they can make a note of this part.
First is take a nice, deep, conscious breath. Because you will realize that when I am angry or sad or tense or depressed, my breathing becomes even shallower
Mm-hmm.
and even faster. So I am not allowing the breath to enter my whole body, fill my lungs, and oxygenate my system.
Right.
So, so somebody is writing divert your attention. I'm sorry, funny. No, I will not say divert your attention because that is just delaying the process. Don't divert your attention. Bring your attention to your emotion and breathe into that emotion. That is one. Sometimes when we are angry or depressed or feeling very frustrated, what we need to do is push our lungs out, not at anyone, not in a public scenario, but going into a private space, using your own space, your room, or using even the washroom. Put on the shower, put on some loud music, and scream on top of your voice till your anger is dissipated. It's just extra energy which needs to be let out. Or, like a lot of people like to do physical exercise. Very good way, but when you're doing it, where is your attention? It should not be on the mind. It should not be, oh, I'm angry, I'm angry, I'm angry, and I'm running. No. Take a deep breath. Don't run with anger. Run to remove the angry energy. Dancing is a very good
Understood.
exercise. So what I'm trying to say is regular things to just dissipate that energy, whether it is jumping up and down, whether it is screaming on top of your voice, whether it is dancing to the emotion that you're feeling, somatic movement. Or you could also do something like humming. We do om chanting and different kinds of chanting. Simple humming, just closing your eyes, just relaxing your muscles and humming. I mean, I can carry on because there are so many things one can do, but notice that,
Yes.
we hold our jaw very tight when we are tense. So, simple exercise, just opening your mouth, moving your jaw up and down sideways, relaxing your jaw, relaxing your fingers. I mean, these are ways of releasing that extra energy which that emotion has brought up, and we don't know how to feel it. But this is just step one. The
Understood.
step two is to understand why is that emotion so, so, what shall I say, concentrated in my body that it needs this kind of a release. What can I do in my regular self care that next time I have a trigger of this nature, I don't feel so reactive? I find that there is a space between the stimulus and the response that I give, and that response is a choice I make. Can I choose my responses? Which doesn't mean that I can't get angry. I can choose to express my anger, but from a space of control. I am in control and I'm expressing my anger because my anger will result in some positive action. Does that make
Sure.
sense?
Yes, I think we all have got our own and I would want the audience to really put it in the chat section that which amongst these responses are you going to take action immediately, because it's not about, putting those emotions, bottle it in the in a fine manner. So put it in the chat section that what is your mechanism to release those emotions. Preeta said, so please type it in the chat section because know there's a contest going on, and we are going to be giving away some items and the more you write in the chat section, the more it's going to register. So Preeta, interesting term because we are talking about holistic living, we are talking about what is this concept of wholeness, and how do you use that with your clients in wholeness from you, and how do we practice that?
So, the reason I call myself a wholeness coach is because in my own seeking, in my own personal healing, I realized that, a lot of times we are living from a space of incompleteness. I feel incomplete
Yes.
and I need something or someone to complete me or make me feel happy. But I learned that happiness is an inside job. I have to be happy not because I got something or someone said something to me, but because I am happy by nature. And when someone does something for me or I get something, it doesn't, it can only add more value to it, but it cannot become my go-to. Like I cannot say that, okay, every time I eat ice cream I feel
Understood.
happier, so I'll keep on eating more ice cream. We all know how self-defeating that can be, right? And again, I'm becoming a slave not to my emotion but to the temptation of getting something, right? So the concept of wholeness is that I have to ac- accept myself wholly, totally, exactly the way I am as of now. And then from there, can I keep on improving myself every day so that I continue being whole? I like to give a small story over here, which is a Zen story of a young monk asking a enlightened master that, master, you're already enlightened, but why do you meditate every day for 4 to 5 hours? And the answer he was given was to stay enlightened. And that for me is really an eye opener, because these practices of self care or being aware of our emotions is not something which we can stop. It's a journey and we have to continue doing it. Nirupama, yeah, sorry, I lost you, I
Yes.
thought.
No. I was just letting you speak the story to the audience. That's
Yeah,
all.
so the concept of wholeness is that whether it's my physical state, whether it's my emotional state, whether it is an emotion which I think which is not good, or whether it's an emotion which I think is good, we have to accept all parts of ourselves, because that's how I've been created, that's how I am. I can't deny it. I can't live in a delusion. So the more I become accepting of where I am, how I am, and then from there, how can I become even a larger whole? How can I keep on working so that my wholeness remains like that? Which is that I am not just physically whole, but also emotionally, spiritually, socially, like in all my relationships. Are my relationships giving me the joy and happiness that one wants? Am I, you know, adding to their happiness also? So am I fulfilling all my roles?
Understood. But when you're talking about wholeness and you're saying that I am whole and complete in myself instead of seeking validation, is it self-bashing and criticizing mode, wherein we tell ourselves, Nirupma, you're not this, and not only you, people around you, they start telling you that, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, from within and coming from everywhere around us. How easy it is to, embrace this concept of self-care. People from the audience might be thinking it's easier said that than done. So I would want to know from you, like,
So it is simple, but it's not easy. And I agree that it is easier said than done, but the doing
yeah,
has to be done for it to become easy. And what I have also seen in my life is
yeah,
that when people are saying things to you which make you feel in any way less than whole, you have to ask yourself, do I actually believe
right.
this? Because if everything is a vibration, if everything is energy, and if everything is vibrating at a certain frequency,
Mm-hmm.
everything that we are attracting, including those voices from outside, are just a reflection of our inner landscape. Somewhere I believe that. And I can again share a small story over here. There was a time when I felt very triggered
Right.
when people asked me certain questions about certain decisions that I had taken. And I would get into a defensive mode. I would try and explain to them why my decision was right for me. But nobody was going to understand it, because what I was defending were my own fears. So the questions that they were raising to me on my decision was just touching a sore point in my own belief that those fears were real. When I was able to drop my own fears, and this is not easy, you can't drop your fears just like that, you have to do some work for that. When my own fears got dropped, I would say, those voices, one, those voices stopped, or if those voices did come, they didn't trigger me. So my learning is, when you are triggered, you have to take the responsibility for being triggered, not put the blame on the one who's triggering you. The one who's triggering you is just reminding you that you need to do some work.
Awesome. I like that reminder part. A lot of times we get into the blame game, we get into saying that we need to work on our own self. It's a beautiful way of putting it.
So those difficult relationships, that
Awesome.
boss
So
who's
now
bothering you, that colleague you have to thank them actually because they are doing you a yeoman service.
Question, which is very close to my heart because, at some stage, Preeta, you told me that you are a really acquire different things, whether it's financially, in the material world, however So I want to ask, isn't that counterintuitive? How can we have a perfect balance of things?
So it's not counterintuitive, actually, it's just a wiser way of being, because if I'm acquiring things to give me a certain sense of fulfillment or achievement, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. As long as that what I am acquiring doesn't acquire me. Like, it doesn't become a new prison for me. Say I've spent money and, bought myself a very nice, very fancy car. And then I'm constantly living in this thing that, oh, I need another new car after a few times, like, after a few months or a few years. This car is satisfied. Once I've got the car, the happiness of getting that car probably dissipates a lot. And now my thing is, okay, now next car, next big thing. When will you stop? As long as you can have a certain amount of detachment with your attachments, it's the balance that you require. So yeah, I have let go a lot, but I had also acquired. When the need was to acquire, I acquired. But after acquiring, I also looked into the fact that, do I really value it beyond my own sense of happiness and peace, or do I value my peace more? And I realized that I'm happy letting go of certain things, because that gives me a sense of freedom, a sense of empowerment. Like today, if you remember, I told you, I'm living a kind of a nomadic life. I don't have a fixed address. I have a car in which whatever fits in, it's my household for the time being. And I'm really enjoying this space, because I can live in a room. Like right now, I'm living in a room in Goa, and I'm living out of maybe ten items of clothing. And I constantly ask myself, am I missing something? Do I need to go back to living in a fancy big house with lots of things? And something inside of me said, no, this is very nice, let's continue doing this.
Yes. Preeta, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, but I'm losing you in the middle sometime. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll let you talk on emotional wellness a little bit, that how important is emotional wellness. Why is it important? Emotional wellness, Preeta?
Yeah, so I mean, if you ask me how important, it is very important. It is the most important. Because when we talk of being fit, we always look at the body. We want to be physically fit. But physical fitness aside, if we are not emotionally whole, if we are not feeling emotionally stable, then eventually it will turn out to be some kind of a physical disease. Because I've also learned that all emotions which are not felt fully, not expressed fully, not expressed in a healthy manner, create lack of health in your physical body. And all these illnesses that we develop in our body, a lot of them which are known as lifestyle diseases, come from thought, come from emotions, come from a sense of stress and dissatisfaction, and always being resentful, always being angry and not expressing it. I mean, these are what causes the diseases in our body, because the body is just trying to constantly balance, and we are overworking the body. So, how important is emotional wellness? Very important, and especially in today's time when we see, first of all, the pandemic happened, which created a lot of emotional stress in a lot of people, because there was so much fear, uncertainty, sorrow, loss. So many things happened to us as a whole society. And moreover, the way the world is progressing, We can put the blame on technology, we can put the blame on social media, we can put the blame anywhere. But if I am emotionally well, emotionally whole, emotionally strong, then none of this can actually shake me beyond a point. It's like saying that my center is strong. I'm a strong tree. All kinds of storms can come. They can shake a few branches. Maybe a few leaves will fall off, but the tree remains. But if my tree is not solid, if my roots are not solid, if my emotional wholeness is not solid, then with every gentle breeze, I will fall off. I will be like that,
Beautiful.
that tender sapling which is not able to stand on its own. So emotional wellness is very important, because if I'm emotionally strong, I'm mentally strong also. You know,
So it's aspects of our health, whether it's spiritual, psychological. Beautiful.
everything, all our relationships, all our sense of happiness, sense of achievement, everything will depend on your emotional wholeness.
Awesome. Before we let you go, I want the audience to put section that what your biggest takeaway show, because for all answers in the chat section, pick a winner immediate winner right here. We can celebrate you. We have this very thing of audience, that one thing, one character they see in Preeta. What in their life in Preeta. We would also put that in the chat section so we can read all your answers. We have a question from Lavya. Cry a lot. Others are not in my control. If you could answer that for.
So it's difficult to answer without knowing certain backstory as to what is not feeling in control and why are the tears flowing. There's nothing wrong with tears flowing. Tears are like the rain which is just clearing the dust. But what is the emotion that is arising when the tears are not being controlled? Is it some kind of a sense of loss, sense of grief, sense of not being able to achieve something? What is making those tears come through? So what can you do to practice? You have to first identify what are you feeling, which emotion is feeling heavy, which emotion is wanting to get released through tears. Don't stop the tears are fine, but also identify what it means. And maybe you can write a letter to yourself, that I am feeling this. Just write a letter expressing your innermost thoughts, which normally we are very circumspect of sharing with anybody else, because I will get judged, or I'll be treated differently.
Right.
Write a letter to yourself expressing what is it that is causing these tears to flow through, not blaming the tears at all,
Mm-hmm.
accepting the tears for what they are, in fact thanking them for
Right.
showing you that you need to do some work. Write that
Yes.
letter. Don't read it after writing that letter. After you've written that letter in a flow, without really censoring it or editing it, tear the letter into small bits of paper and either burn it, flush it down, or make it flow in the river. Whatever. Just let it go. Let it out.
I am crying on anything I achieve in my life.
Sorry, I missed.
So she says that when she's not able to in life, achievement
Um,
aspect is what causing the tears.
yeah. So anything I'm not able to achieve, I would say, ask yourself, do you love yourself as you are? Or does your love depend on that only when I achieve what I want to achieve will I love myself? So if you can love yourself the way you are, Lavya, I think you will feel much happier. So doing a set of affirmations saying that I love myself into the mirror, looking into your own eyes and saying it the way you would say it to someone you love very dearly.
Awesome. Beautiful. So we are at the show, Preeta. We crossed the time. So the final segment we always ask our guests to do is to go with their favorite one-liner. I have these one-liners in my mind. I would collect all the and put it in the form of a frame. So we would want to know from you your final message and your favorite for the audience, so we can wrap this show up beautifully.
Yeah, so I don't really have a one liner, but I would like to say that you're manifesting every moment of your life. Every thought you think is manifested. So if life is not manifesting the way you want it to be, change your thought. Choose your thought. And I actually like to bring this point, which I haven't spoken enough about, is gratitude. In my understanding, amongst all the emotions, the vibration of the highest emotion is of gratitude. So if you can bring in gratitude in your life for everything, good, bad, indifferent, like I like to say, shukr when things go your way, sabr when things don't go your way, will give you the sukoon that you are looking for.
Good. I think you can use this as one-liner. It's such a wonderful way to get, Shukr. It's beautiful, lovely. So we have another which is come funny. Funny says, is it possible to be unemotional and have no feeling?
It's not natural because it's like saying, can the river stop flowing?
Yeah.
Uh, well, if the river stops flowing, then it's a dead river, right? The river has like stopped being a river anyway. So, for a person to be unemotional, I would say mostly without, I mean, I don't really know, I don't want to generalize, but you're not wanting to feel your emotions because what you have felt in the past hasn't really been peaceful or expansive, has made you suffer. So you're blocking those emotions. Otherwise, as human beings, I mean, that's one of our, I say, gifts, that we have emotions to emote.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For that. So thank you for your valuable time. We learned a lot and how to emotions better. The amazing nuggets and we would want to have you sessions as well if you have some time for us. Thank you so much. And for all of those who've given your time, we would really announce winners. Only two winners in front of us. One is Lavya Sundrani. She's been participating right from the beginning. So congratulations, Lavya. And the second winner is Funny or Funny. Congratulations. I'm very happy to have you till the very end. Make sure that you reach out to me for your prizes. I'm going to you on LinkedIn. My handle is Nirupama Vyas. Make sure that you reach out there and funny. And to many such listeners, we are, talking on issues women that women facing on a regular basis. Thank you very much, Preeta. Thank you so much for your insightful talk. So glad to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. Thank you.